So good to be blessed. Yeah, listen, so good to be blessed in a world full of stress. This is how I keep my head up, I live to give. Cause mama said, baby, when you're grown, the Lord will never leave you alone. And I'm so thankful that you gave me breath. One more day so I can live what's left. This is when you know you got favor. One more chance to praise the Savior. So ready to see my kids grow up. The most beautifulest thing in this world, what's up? I see you in the middle of the troubled times, good times. Lord, we on your time. Peace be still. How many people in the world know he's real? Hey, you brought me from a mighty long way. Hey, living in the world, Lord, every day. I know you ain't finished with me yet. I'm across that road when you say I'm ready. Still I'm blessed. Lord, still I'm blessed. Would feel so good if you didn't understand the pain in your neighborhood every day. Hoping you can make a change with the man in the mirror, he ain't the same. A hard head can make you learn a lesson, that's a true confession. If you don't know, it's time to be a blessing to the people you meet in the streets, the homeless begging to eat. It's time to be a better neighbor. Hey, can you walk like a savior? I'm just a nobody, trying to tell everybody to sweep around your own front door before you come knocking for more. You see, love is the answer. We can heal the world and save the girl. Listen, cause heavy is the head that wears the crown. They can't hold God down, cause life ain't nothing but a testimony. But still I rise to the heaven only with my hands stretched out. It's so good to be blessed. It's so good. So good to be blessed. So good to be blessed. It's so good to be blessed. So good to be blessed. Father, I'd like to say thank you. I could see it in their eyes when they were talking to me that they were walking in the valley of death. This young mother and her daughter, and I was compelled. I could not walk away. I had to go and be a blessing to them. So thank you, Father. So good to be blessed. So good to be blessed. It's so good to be blessed. So good to be blessed. So good to be blessed. So good to be blessed.
Raised in the house, I never seen it. The things you talk about, why wouldn't I smile? Haven't been through a lot, still live in the nest, but always outside the box. I know it's hard out there, but I am not afraid. One day I'll fly away. One day the world will see the love of me and it'll change. My plans have always been the biggest. I ain't normal, I'm too different. I know you see it, how could you miss it? When the hate comes and the love goes, when the conversation stops and we're so cold, when I open up and we're so close but yet so far away, can't help but feel like I don't belong here. 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 I don't belong. Don't be too free. Don't be too wild. You can be truthful. Don't be too loud. You might wake the neighbors, they might get angry. They look at you and they think you dangerous. It will get crazy. They'll grab the gun, confront, blow your brains out. You brainless. Now you dead and famous. Yes, they hate now and then love you later. When you alive, they don't appreciate you. They don't get your behavior. You try to help, they dismiss you. Do whatever they can to get rid you. When you here to see, they will dish you. Soon as you gon' believe, they will miss you. When the hate comes and the love goes, when the conversation stops and we're so cold. When I open up and we're so close, but yet so far away. Can't help but feel like I don't belong here. 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 I don't belong. Still the same me from the old days. Had to do away with the old ways. Had to make room for the new me. I guess the world never really knew me. Could it be I was scared of the judgment? Wanted you to love me. I never want to be a disappointment. See, perfection was way too important to me. Had to find peace in the noises. Got tired of being quiet. Tired of playing peacemaker in the middle of the riots. I'm in a world full of liars, so whenever the truth come around, motherfuckers get violent. Why you think Tupac got shot? Why you think Malcolm X got shot? Why you think Martin Luther King had his dream cut short? They ain't wanna see that man pop. They knew he had a vision. Knew he wasn't afraid to be different. No, he wasn't a well-trained nigga, so they had to go kill him. Before the movement got any bigger, he became a threat to the system. They don't wanna see change. They winning. Top of the food chain. They chillin'. We just the new slaves, born in it. We are not free. We don't really have a choice in it. The least that you could have is a voice in it. We can play the game or we can forfeit it. You can stay the same, but I'm a morph in it. America, nah, more like an orphanage. Nobody knows where they come from, but they'll fight for the flag with their guns up. They don't wanna stay, but damn if I leave. Home of the slaves, land of the thieves. Out, 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 out. I don't belong. I don't belong here. I don't belong here. I don't belong.
This is the Mail Review on Yale Radiocast.com.
Morning. Welcome to the Mail Review on Yale Radiocast. It is a lovely Saturday. And I'm here in the studio with my co-host, my brother, Dylan Yale.
I'm in the building. What's going on, Marcus?
Hey, I'm chilling, man. How you living today, man?
I'm living, man.
You
fighting
living,
the
man?
life, you know.
Hey, nothing wrong with that, brother. Welcome to living the life, my friend.
Living the life. Boy,
Gotta do it.
It's a new life of 2022.
It is. And it's super cold. So that's enough to let you know
you're
alive,
cold,
man. Listen, man. Hey, it's wintertime. That's just how it is. It's a cold world. It's a cold
world.
Believe it, man. So we are here this morning, and for those of you who have definitely tuned in, we definitely thank you for tuning in again with us on another Saturday as we get in the studio and go ahead and give you things through a male perspective and a male lens. That's why we call it the Male Review. This morning, though.
Man, this morning.
Dylan, you want to tell them a little bit about how we're going to go with this morning? This is going to be a good one.
Yeah, I already did a video this morning saying that, and the goal for 2022 was to go in hot, right?
Yes, sir.
And really address some things that we want to address moving forward. I think 2021, we kind of like just flew below the radar a little bit. We had our normal podcasts and our normal shows. Mm-hmm. And due to COVID, it was really hard to get out and address the things that we really were meant to do with Yale Radiocast and the Mail Review. Things happen in the news, and we covered some things, but we really weren't involved in things like I wanted to be involved with things. And Actually, what happened to the end of last year, I stopped by this store, this coffee shop, and I'm always looking to see what's going on. So a lot of businesses, place their flyers down at this coffee shop, and I saw this flyer right here, and I pulled it, and I said, "Let me read into this. Let me kind of pull this and read this." So I saw 76 bullets, holes to Jamarion Robinson's body, right? So I saw the hashtag, I read the back, and I was like, this is extremely interesting. And I started thinking, like, why haven't I heard about this?
Right.
Right? So I reached out to the information that was on the flyer, which got us in touch with Mr. Jamarion Robinson's mother, Monteria Robinson.
Absolutely.
And she responded almost immediately, and I appreciate her for that, because I asked her an interview to talk about it.
Absolutely.
And once we actually had a conversation over the phone, I said, I don't remember this case. And she said it reached national news and everything. And I started researching it, and I did remember that I do remember this. And I recently had another conversation and apologized with her about like forgetting about it. And that is pretty much where I want to go. We need to keep things fresh in our head, so to constantly address things, therefore it doesn't fall off the radar.
Right.
It doesn't get handled improperly.
Right.
Because it has fallen off. And that's why I'm here today. I want to thank her. And I also want to thank my cousin, Miss Miami Knight of the Grief Talk Show. How you doing, cuz?
I'm doing well. Thank you for it's an honor to be here.
All right. And I want to thank Miss Monteria Robinson for joining us as well. How are you doing, ma'am?
I'm excuse me, I'm doing well. This is the first show or radio interview that I've done this year. And so yesterday, as I was pulling out stuff to send to you, it started giving me anxiety.
I'm sure.
So because it's like I always say, I am the voice, for my son Jamarion Robinson. So, like you said, you did your research, so you always kind of see me out in the community. I'm always doing news. I'm always doing podcasts. I'm always doing something because I said, the world will know my son's name.
Absolutely.
But during the latter part of the year, December, November, December, everything starts to wind down. I tend to stay more focused on my family, during the latter part of the year, because that's when I'm kind of missing Jamarion the most during the holidays.
Yeah.
And so with that being said, I was like, okay, it's January. I gotta, I always say I gotta put my tennis shoes on and get back out in those streets again. And so with that being said, like I said, this is my first interview or first time I talked about his story this year. And for some reason yesterday, it started giving me anxiety. And I was like, okay, you got this.
Okay. And well, I do want to say thank you for allowing us to be the platform and portal, Yale Radiocast and RTV, to actually start out this year on a very big note. I also want to talk about Miami Night and tell us about your show and basically what you're based around and how it correlates to this topic a little bit. And you know why I brought you in, cuz.
Absolutely. Looking forward to it.
Okay, so tell us about Miami Night Show and the Grief Talk.
Okay, you want me to do this now? All right.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well,
we here. We live.
Okay.
Let's get it.
Yes. Well, my name, of course, is Miami Knight, and I am a grief educator and trainer. And 2018, I was trying to figure out what should I do for being a survivor of loss as well. My son died on January 27th of 2017, which his anniversary is coming up. So when Miss Robinson was talking about, the times of the year that we miss our children due to loss, we are affected around this time of the year. And for me, it's December, January, and February because his birthday is next month. But December 17th of 2011, my son and his best friend were shot, and his best friend was killed. And after all of that time, 5 years later, going through a trial, my son did survive. So he also had a traumatic brain injury because of this trauma and this event in December of 2011. 5 years after that, my son died by gun suicide. Having the emotional upset of losing his best friend, having to live through that ordeal, and also having some paranoia surrounding that incident. He was always thinking someone was out to hurt him. But January of 2017, Tyke took his life with a gun. So I had been trying to figure out after that year, how can I get myself back into being me? So how do I love myself again? With all of the guilt, the shame, and everything that was associated with my loss, I wanted to figure out how can I do that, support myself and also my family and other families that are going through what I was going through as well. So I started, it's the Miami Night Show Grief Talk, and here we are.
And here we are.
All right.
Markel, you got something for us, brother?
Well, thank you for joining us, Miami Night. I definitely appreciate it, and you too, Ms. Robinson. Thank you so much for joining us today. We definitely appreciate it. The thing about this particular case, I want to say, I do remember the first time I heard about it. Odd enough, it was on Facebook. That was the first time I'd seen something to do with this. And at the time, I had not connected any names, I had not connected any faces, I had not connected any particular situations. All I know is that I saw a young lady who was actually, she had shown, I guess, she had gone through the apartment with her phone, and I remember thinking then, wow, that's a lot of shots. That's what I remember thinking immediately. But kind of to the point of what Darlin said, it had come across the radar. But being a black man in America, being a black person in America, one thing I will say is that there's so many hashtags, man. There's so many hashtags that it's started to become a point where we're almost numb to it. Something that would have been outrageous a long time ago has started to become more of the norm.
Right.
And that's what we're here to discuss right now. We're trying to discuss how to move past that, to make this an abnormal thing, a thing where people are held accountable, people are responsible for their actions, and they are responsible for things as small as compassion.
Right.
To have compassion for another human being is a big problem that I'm seeing a lot in law enforcement nowadays, and that's why we really want to highlight and we really want to talk about what took place in this instance. So without further ado, basically first of all, Ms. Robinson, I do want to apologize that you had to go through this ordeal, and I'm just going to kind of give a rundown of just a small rundown of what has happened, and then we'll kind of go ahead and move out from there to go ahead and have a discussion on it. So based on the information, on August 5th, 2016, Jamarion Robinson, 26 years old, African-American man who had been diagnosed with paranoid schizophrenia, was shot 59 times and killed in a police raid in East Point, Georgia. The shooting occurred when at least 14 officers of a Southeast Regional Fugitive Task Force from at least 7 different agencies, led by the U.S. Marshals, forcibly entered the apartment of Robinson's girlfriend to serve a warrant for his arrest. The warrant was being served on behalf of Gwinnett County Police and the Atlanta Police Department. Authorities said they had sought his arrest after he allegedly fired a gun at police or pointed a gun at the police during a previous encounter. The GBI stated that Mr. Robinson had been repeatedly ordered to put down a weapon and that the officers who had been involved in the shooting reported that Robinson fired at them 3 times. Now, let me stop right there. Okay? What I want to understand, one of the things one of the questions that I had for you, him having been diagnosed with paranoid schizophrenia, Miss Robinson, I noticed that you did reach out for assistance with your son, dealing with that. I'm trying to understand why they sent a task force to go deal with this young man. I'm trying to understand why my son is having some mental issues and I need some assistance to let's send a task force with 14 people with guns blazing. Can you speak?
Well, if you don't mind, and I don't mean to interrupt that, we want to get around to that.
Absolutely.
Ms. Robinson, I actually want you to let the audience know about your son before we go into this side. I want everybody to understand your relationship, your son, who he is as a person, and just tell us about your son first.
Yep.
Okay, yeah, let's start there. And you also have to remember too, when you reading stuff from the media. That's their version. That's
Oh,
the false
absolutely.
narratives that they give to make the public say, "Oh, he did this," or "Oh, he did that." But
Hmm.
a lot of the things that you were reading is like it's their false narrative. So
Right.
that's
Okay.
why as I get into it, that's why me and my family brought in our own expert
Exactly.
witnesses, such as our own investigator. But just let me
Hmm.
tell you a little bit about my son, who he was. Jamarion was a student athlete at the time of his death.
Hmm.
He was a student athlete at Tuskegee University. As a matter of fact, on August the 3rd of 2016, he had just completed all his paperwork for to go start camp that following week at Tuskegee University. He was going back to school. And so he texts me, he texts his football coach and say, "Hey coach, I complete all my paperwork." And I also looked into his email account too. Like all his stuff came back on August the 3rd, 4th, and 5th that showed that, hey, it's completed, so on and so forth.
Hmm.
But anyway, a little bit about who Jamarion was as a person. Jamarion was He was kind hearted. He was
Mm-hmm.
loving. He was caring. He loved children. Like the neighborhood he lived in, he would always buy the kids, like when the ice cream man come, he would buy them stuff from the ice cream truck. Or sometimes he would even go to the store and buy them popsicles and things of that
Yeah.
nature. Um, my sisters and I call him Daddy Daycare because a lot of
Okay.
times when we were going out, he has a lot of younger cousins, at that time, and his nephew, they were all young in 2016. They were like, my niece was around 2 years old.
Hmm.
My grandson was around, I think, 5. Um, so on and so forth. So and my other nephew, he was around like 5 as well. So it's like 2 5 years old and a 2 year old. But we always had him babysitting them whenever we were, going out for the evening. We would say we'll get daddy daycare to do it
Okay.
or what have you. But I remember times
Daddy
too, because
daycare.
my son is a former student too at Clark Atlanta University. He went to Clark
CAU.
Atlanta
Great.
University in 2008 to 2010.
Hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
I remember when I used to go down to, the West End area. Sometimes I would pick him up. We'd go have lunch, or even after the football games, we would always go eat. Him and I and my family. But he would always ask one of his teammates, "Hey, you want to go eat with my family and I?" And of course, they always said yes. You follow? So he was always looking out for his teammates, as well as I remember a couple of times, when you go down to the West End area, it's always someone, begging for money or so. But he will always buy a homeless person like something to eat or
Right.
give them a few dollars, things
Right.
of that nature. That's the kind of person he was.
Right.
I always say to people, when you know me, when you know my family, Jamarion Robinson, because it's me. You know what I mean? He's I always say, when you see my face and hear my voice, I am Jamarion Robinson, because he was a
Hmm.
part of me. He act like me. He talked like me. He always was smiling. He always had a smile on his face. Um, and what happened to him, my son did not deserve that. My son was
Correct.
treated
Not.
worse than a dog. They wouldn't even do that to a dog, the way they killed
Hmm.
my son. And I want to tell you all what happened to him on August in 2016. He was actually visiting his girlfriend's house in East Point, Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
Approximately about 1:30 p.m., her door was battle rammed open by 17 road police officers from Atlanta to Fulton County to Fayette County to Clayton County to U.S. Marshal Services with no search warrant. They did not have a search
Right.
warrant to enter, which makes
Right.
everything they did illegal.
Hmm.
Over 90 rounds were fired at my son. Over 90 rounds were fired at him.
Okay.
They threw flashbang grenades that landed on my son, burning him. Someone walked up the stairs, stood over my son, and shot down into his body multiple times. They're saying 3 to 5 times. Um, After that, they handcuffed my son and drug him down the flight of stairs. My son was shot 6 times in the palm of his right hand, 5 times in the palm of his left hand, all down his arms, his torso, his thighs, his groin, his shins, his feet.
Okay.
This sounds
Man,
like an
okay, so
execution.
let me ask this question, because I'm already getting a little, worked
Emotional,
up by it.
yeah.
What prompted this search warrant? What was going on within maybe the relationship or the situation that actually called the cops to this location? Was it something going on between the girlfriend, or did he have some kind of prior
No, no one
warrant?
called the police. No one called the police on that day. They
Okay.
stated that they were. This is the what they gave after they killed my son. They stated that, oh, we were looking for him from a week ago. He pointed a gun at a police officer and took off running. And so they're stating with that
Okay.
that's why they were looking for my son.
Right.
And so what they did, they called me with me not knowing, what was going on, and they said, hey, this is. They did say this is. And actually, they lied to me, and they were like, my name is such and such. I'm with Gwinnett County because maybe about a month, because that was in August. In July, the earlier part of July, my son had an episode where he kind of poured gas throughout my house, and
Yes.
and
That was
so
documented.
they called me and said that's why they were looking for it. They called me and said, hey, we're trying to get him here at at Gwinnett County to get him back on his meds, to help him. And then the officer started saying, I have someone in my family that suffered from mental illness. So I gave them his telephone number. So that's how they tracked my son to the apartment that day. According to my law enforcement expert witness, he stated that there is no finding or no records of where they were looking for somebody that pointed a gun at a police officer and took off running. He said there's no evidence of that actually exists.
Right.
Wow.
Right. Cuz Miami, you got anything right now with this?
Well, I got a lot, but what I would
know
like
you-
to say to Monteria, am I saying your first name right?
Yes, it's
Okay,
Monteria.
Monteria, Miss Monteria. How are you now? I mean, after all of that, that is so triggering,
lot.
and that is so. I mean, I have chills just listening to this, and I don't. I mean, I know by the grace of God and your family and support system that has assisted you with this. How are you now in 2022 sharing this story again for the first time? How are your feelings?
Well, actually, like I said, it's for some. I'm just like, oh, I can't wait to get through this interview because because I done told this story 100 times, and
I
to be
get
honest,
it.
I'm tired of telling it.
I
Follow
get
what
it.
I'm saying?
Definitely, I understand.
I'm like tired of telling. I'm exhausted. You follow
Yes.
me? And so and it's like it's a nightmare. I want to wake up out of this dream, and like now, the more I'm sitting here, it's making me kind of angry and upset because I've told this story repeatedly. And it's like, what is everybody missing? Like, this is one of the most heinous cases in U.S. history,
It
and
is.
everybody act like, oh, it's just another shooting, it's just another black man killed by police. No, and it's like, when you go back to 2020 during the uprising when everybody was out in the street, I
Right.
was out in the street too with everybody, and I noticed that none of the city officials, none of our politicians, the mayor, the governor, nobody would never acknowledge my son's name. I put up 9 murals in the city of Atlanta because I was like, if they're not going to say my son's name, they're going to see my son's face every
Absolutely.
Right.
corner they turn in the city of Atlanta. So I have a total of 9 murals. And then I started putting up billboards, too. I was like, okay, y'all, they going on the news and saying all these names from other people out of state. I'm like, we have our own George Floyd, Breonna Taylor
Right here in Atlanta.
In
Georgia.
Atlanta.
Why
Absolutely.
nobody saying
Right.
Jamarion Robinson when his case is one of the most heinous cases in U.S. history?
This is
Right.
correct.
And
Absolutely.
and definitely go
I'm
ahead.
sorry. I'm going to quote you here. You said, "I'm ready to just have peace of mind.
Yes.
I want some peace." So
Yes.
if I could just offer right now to you, let's just all of us right here just now, just take a breath for a moment. Just take in a deep breath. On the count of 3, we're going to take in a deep breath, and then we're going to release it in 4. So it goes like this: 1, 2, 3. Breathe in and hold it for 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Release. We're going to do that again on the count of three. We're going to breathe in. One, two, three. Breathe in. Hold it for four. One, two, three, four. Release. And one more time, we're going to breathe in for three and we're going to release it for four. Breathe in. One, two, three. Hold it for four. One, two, three, four. Release. Let's just get back into some balance because I hear the frustration and the anger that's inside, but you do need peace at this point. We you
Mm-hmm.
have gotten to a level that okay, now I can kind of like, I have some, with the pace now. So now that you have some convictions, I know it's not everything that you want, but now we can come to a you can come to a part of your life that you can kind of finally breathe a little bit. And 2022 can be a different way for you sharing this story now.
Okay. Yeah,
Thank
Marcus,
you for
what you
that.
got? What you got, brother?
Yep, definitely, and I can see how this could be triggering for you, Miss Robinson. I
Mm-hmm.
do definitely apologize for that as well. And you are correct. Mainstream media does have a way of twisting things and trying to fit a narrative into a little box. But this is why we wanted to do this interview directly with you today to have this discussion. What you basically have described to me in my spirit, what I feel is this felt more like an execution.
Yes.
Some of the things that I've read about it, and again, I'm just giving you based on the information that I've obtained. It was this. There was a discussion about there being a mistaken identity, like they were looking for someone else. But now I'm hearing from you, they weren't looking for anybody.
Well, you're
Go
right.
ahead.
Okay, because the thing is, after when I talked about, after they killed my son and my mother and my brothers and my aunts and uncles, they all arrived on the scene and they said to my mother and my two brothers, "Oh, we were looking for him from a week ago. He pointed a gun at a police officer and took off running." They showed my mother and my brothers a photo, and then my mother went, "That's not my grandson." And then my two brothers went, "No, that's not our nephew." And then my older brother said, "My nephew looks like me," which he does favor, looks like my brother. So my brother flipped out his phone, showed them what my son looked like. And the DBI lady, Miss Atkins asked my brother, "Okay, you airdropped that to me." So my brother did. Because they didn't have a photo of my son. They took that photo, dropped it on the news that night, and said East Point man had a shootout with police. And another
Wow.
thing too, the gun that was
What?
found on the scene, number one, it did not work, and number two, it did not have my son's fingerprints on it.
That was the
So
next question.
yeah,
Okay.
Wow.
so just to get to that, and even too in the medical examiner report, she, of course, his death certificate was listed as a homicide, but she put that the disposition of everything was violent. That's how she described the
Absolutely.
the how to say it. That's how she described my son's body. It was violent.
Right. Question, ma'am. Let's talk about your son's bouts with schizophrenia and the challenges that you had helping him through those times and through those moments. Basically, we're talking about the mental illness and some things because a lot of this affects our community and nobody really knows. Just like we're talking about officers going in untrained to handling these situations. Let's talk about how you learned to deal with when he was going through any kind of episode or dealing with this. How did you learn how to deal with those situations in those moments, ma'am?
Well, actually, too, a lot of people don't realize that mental illness consists of a lot. Mental illness is depression. Mental illness is anxiety. Mental,
Yes.
Definitely.
mental illness is schizophrenia. Mental illness could be an eating disorder. So we all suffer from some type of mental illness.
Agree.
My son was embarrassed, about having mental illness, but me and my family used to always say, we would make him laugh like it's nothing to be worried about. It's okay. We were like, we all suffer from something. And my
Right.
son would always say, I got mental illness myself. Father, I got this, so on and so forth. And then then Jamarion would start laughing. But Jamarion just tried to hide it. Like he tried
Right.
to kind of hide it. But when I knew when he started, and the only thing he was really doing, to be honest, he was sleeping in small spaces. Like he'll sleep in the bathroom, he'll sleep in the closet. And I was like, wait a minute, something not right with that. You follow what I'm saying? Because at first I
Understood.
was thinking he in the bathroom, you know, using the bathroom or taking a shower. Then
Right.
I'm so nosy. Then I go knock on the door. I was like, "You okay in there?" Or is he like, "Yeah"? And I'm thinking, but come to find out, he was sleeping in there at night. But I remember, oh, this just seemed like yesterday. It was like in April of 2016. Him and I was talking about, we were talking about Philando Castile, Michael
Yes.
Brown Jr., Sandra Bland. Him and I was just having that conversation about them. And then he just said, "Well, Mama, he said, Mama, they're killing us every day." And I said, "Yeah, I know, baby. I know." And I asked him, but he said, "I'm not afraid to die." And I said, "Oh, you're not?" He was like, "Of course not. I'm not afraid to die." I said, "Well, who don't want to die is your mama." And then I asked him, we started laughing. And then I asked him, I said, "Well, did you hear that, because it was 2016. I said, "Did you hear?" I was like, "Well, the word on the street is that they were going to kill as many black men." I don't know if you guys heard this as possible while Obama was in office. Because I heard, you know what I mean?
There was
My
some
son
things
said,
going around.
huh?
Yeah, there was a lot of things that going around, just basically just fighting for our life. And of course, Obama being in office created a lot of hate and division within the communities. They just hated the fact that a black man was in office to the point that it became a execution ceremony, if you will. You had stuff like bodies being found in trees at one point. You had so much going on within the community, so it was almost like open seizure on the black man. Like you saw that stuff with Philando Castile and all these people, Mike Brown and Tamir Rice and all this stuff, just constantly going on, just based off of hatred. So when we're dealing with officers, we have to be told how to react. We have to already be in a fair stance, because we don't know if you're one of them or you are actually a legitimate officer. Let me ask you something about that, by the way.
Okay.
How was your perception of police prior to the experiences that happened to your son? Were you anti-police? Were you very much for law enforcement? Because a lot of this stuff plays into maybe changing the narrative, changing what you believe. Maybe you do have a good relationship with officers. So what's your views of the law enforcement before the incident with your son? And has it changed overall after that?
Well, actually, I would say before that, I was woke, I was conscious, because I was I knew about the Sandra Bland and Mike Brown Jr., so on and so forth. So I always would just tell my sons, I just always told them, I would say, if anything happens, make sure you comply, But Jamarion, has a motorcycle, so he will always get stopped for speeding tickets or something like that. But, it was always simple. And I always would say to him, if they lock you up or whatever, I can bond you out. I said, if I go to jail, I can bond myself out of jail. Follow what I'm saying? So I always made it clear that if anything happened, he get locked up or whatever. But because sometimes he'll go down there and they be like, "Sir, I'm sorry, but you got outstanding speeding ticket." And so when he get down there, he'll call me and say, "Mama, bring me $100. I need to pay whatever." And sometimes I go to the police station, they'll be like, "That's your mama? Your mama fine," because they wouldn't put him in jail. He would be sitting in the back at the desk with them, and he'll be dying, laughing. They'll be telling jokes, But I never was like afraid of police, like if I got stopped or none of that. But now, after they killed my son, I'm gonna be honest. I hate police. You know what I mean? I don't trust them. And it's like, I know my son. Jamarion has been stopped so many times by police for speeding or what have you. I know he complied. I know that. I know he complies. So that's why I've been so aggressive on him. Because think about it. If he was shot in the palm of his hand, that means
he got his hands
up.
Right. Miami, you got something?
Well, I just wanted to say, this form of gun violence, which is the police-involved shootings, it tears apart our community. So does homicides, suicides, mass shootings, non-fatal injuries, also unintentional shootings, threats that are used for harm or to threaten someone. And I just wanted to know, by Ms. Robinson, is there any legislation that will come into fruition because of your case?
Yes, there is some legislation. Actually, I spoke with them yesterday. We are working on getting the law introduced coming up, in the name of my son, Jamarion Robinson. So I am aggressively working on that. Yeah. So, the next time I come on the show, I should have an update, as to where we are with that. So that is something that is that we're working on. And also too, while you're on that subject, I do have right here, I think it's right here in front of me. I have a on April the 1st of this year, I was given a resolution
All right.
about by by several of the by several state reps, House of Representatives like Park Hannon, Erica Thomas,
Shout out to Erica
Miss
Thomas,
yeah, Miss
close friend of mine.
Miss
Excellent.
Wynn, Miss Beverly, Miss Benita
Yes.
Shannon. But anyway, they gave me a resolution
Yes,
honoring the
yes.
life of Jamarion Robinson, recognizing April 1st, 2021 as a National Day of Movement for my son.
Okay.
April
Great.
1st is his
Excellent.
Great.
birthday.
Yes.
So,
We will definitely
that
highlight that.
that was like really, to be honest, the first acknowledgement
Yes.
that I've received from, any, how to say it, any, officials, politicians, or and
Absolutely.
that's the first acknowledgement, that the city has said, okay, we're acknowledging Jamarion Robinson. Follow what I'm saying? We're acknowledging that this happened to
Well, we're going to
Jamarion
make sure that
Robinson.
this movement continues on. And we also want to bring into the GoFundMe at this time, the
Yeah.
GoFundMe in memory of Jamarion Robinson. So make sure you guys donate to this cause. So this, I mean, this backing her really assist her getting in front of more people, sharing this story, because as a community, we want to bring light to situations like this. So this doesn't happen to, I also have another son. I don't want this happening to my other son. I don't want this happening to my nephews. I don't want this happening to my nieces, whoever. So just make sure that you go to the GoFundMe page and donate today.
In memory of Jamarion Robinson is the GoFundMe.
Yep.
And
It's
so
GoFundMe.com
Okay.
/ Justice for Jamarion. That's the
great. Thank you for. We're gonna have that on the stream as well. Mark, what you got, brother?
I was going to say, and speaking of just kind of staying on that point of the legislation, one of the most frustrating things that I've read about what occurred is the fact that at the time they were just coming into trying to get body cameras on these officers, on the officers that go, and definitely the ones that serve warrants, because having a video representation of exactly what happened kind of it clears away all the hearsay, right? Since that time, I know that they've definitely tried to get to the point where they have these body cams on all of the officers. I really want to understand from you, when you think about the fact that there was really no video evidence that anyone could come up with, how frustrating that was, and having to go by hearsay and this story and that story, it kind of allowed them to change the narrative and try to basically befuddle the story, to try to confuse it. How does that play out? And in your, it's speaking about the resolution that you have coming forward, is that one of the major pieces to try to get them to make sure that that something like this doesn't occur again? Because this case is a lot. I mean,
it's a lot. It's a lot, y'all. It's a lot. And I mean, it's like I can't sleep half the time. I'm up like I can't sleep at night. Just thinking about what happened to my baby, because it's like I say they wouldn't even do this to a dog. And when you say body camera, of course the officers turned off their body cameras that day, but
they had body cameras.
There is video footage that was taken from the outside. 'Cause you know how
Right.
bystanders, they'll start recording everything, and so luckily that's what they were able to use to determine what happened to Jamarion. Because in their statement, in their original statement, they stated, "Oh, after we threw the flashbang grenade, we didn't do any more shooting." But that was a lie, because the video that the bystander took after they threw the flashbang,
Was when they started shooting.
I think over 70 rounds at my son. At that time, they threw the flashbang grenade, and then they stated, "Oh, we didn't do any more shooting after we tossed the flashbang grenade." But that was a lie, because when you listen to and watch the video, boom, you hear the flashbang grenade go off, and then you hear another 2 to 3 more volleys of gunfire, which was like another 20 to 30 more rounds. So that the video that was captured by one of the neighbors, it told the whole story. You can even, and then like I said, I brought in an investigator. So that's why I know the details about
Okay.
what happened to my son. I also brought in Dr. Michael Biden, who is a forensic expert. He was on the is it Gabby Petito case too
Okay.
recently.
Hmm.
But he was the one that said, Jamarion never had a gun. He never shot at the police. He actually, he even said to me, like, I just want justice for Jamarion. And I'm gonna do a comparison real quick. Like, so think about this, you guys. Remember Robert Long that killed the 8 Asian people?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, remember him. Okay, so Robert Long killed 8 people. Jamarion killed no one. Robert Long had a gun. Jamarion did not have a gun. Robert Long says, I got Robert Long. Oh, no shots fired, right? But no shots were fired at Robert Long. But 110 shots were fired at my son, Jamarion. I said Robert Long would see his day in court. Jamarion would never see his day in court.
Yep.
Robert Long was arrested without incident. Jamarion was killed on the scene. Robert Long, white man. Jamarion, black man. This happened in Atlanta, Georgia, both cases. Robert Long, killer. Jamarion Robinson, student athlete. And I can do that on and on with Dylan Booth and some of the other, cases that we're all familiar with.
Yes. So let's talk about where we are at right now.
Okay.
We do know that the officers have been charged, correct? After years.
After
Years.
Maybe 4 years.
Finally, which is how does that feel right now when you actually got the call or that convictions are finally in? How did that feel when you finally got that?
Actually, I was there. Actually,
Okay.
I had to go to court that Monday, which was October the 25th, which was my birthday, right?
Wow. Yeah.
So here I am. I'm in court. Got to give my testimony. On October 25th, that was my birthday. Next day, October the 26th, we got an indictment. So we got an indictment, and my nephew was born on October the 26th, and his name is Justice. So
All right.
I got like an indictment, and we got a new life on October 26th. After 5 years, like this year is like year 6. We're going into year 6 now.
Yep.
So I'm just grateful that, our new DA, move forward and getting these officers indicted. To be honest, they had 15 counts.
Yes.
I'm trying to see where's that list that I have that has
Oh, we have it.
It's right here, man.
Yep, we have
looking
it right
at
here.
it right now. We own it. We own it.
We were
Okay.
looking at it.
This
so
man,
yeah.
let go.
I can tell you that they were like all the charges, 2 counts of felony murder. They had
Yes.
burglary, aggravated assault, 6 counts of oath of office.
Burglary in the first degree.
assault.
Yep.
False statement. I want to talk about, because we already know all this.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that false statement.
Let me read a little bit about that.
Go ahead,
So,
Markel.
from what I see, based on this, the grand jury indicted law enforcement officers Eric Hines and Christopher Hutchins on charges of felony murder, burglary, aggravated assault, and making false statements in connection with the shooting. Hines, who was a deputy marshal at the time of the shooting, Hutchins was a police officer. They were members of the fugitive task force who were executing that search warrant. And this case marks the very first time that a member of the U.S. Marshal Service, and that would be Hines, had faced charges for a fatal shooting while on duty. Now, let's talk definitely about these false statements that they made.
And it's 3 officers too. It wasn't 2 officers. It was actually 3.
3.
Well, one is deceased, and the one that's deceased is Daniel Dole. He's the officer that shot Jamarion the most. Actually, he died of prostate cancer in 2020. 2020. He died of prostate cancer, but he's the one. Like when you read his statement from the statements that they gave, he stated, "Oh, I shot him in his groin to make him fall to the ground." That's actually is what he said in his statement, that he shot my son. And where they do that at? Like,
Right.
where do you do that at? You shoot somebody in their groin, talking about to make them fall to the ground?
He had knees. If that was the case, he didn't have to shoot him in his groin. If he wanted him to fall, he could have shot him in his knee. Not condoning where he should have shot him at, but I just don't think that's right. Where are you emotionally? So take us through your day as a mother who have lost her son in such a violent way. Where are you emotionally throughout the day?
Well, actually, I try to stay busy. Of course, I try to stay busy. I sometimes, I get my son, my other son, I get his dog. He's a little Frenchie. I get him a lot of times, kind of keep me company or what have you, throughout the day. But it's what happened to him is like who can sleep at night. You follow what I'm saying? I don't really get much sleep. But I always feel like I'm in go mode,
Yeah.
Right.
But last year I did take some time out for myself just to kind of get away,
Great.
just to kind of have a peace of mind. I was like, I just gotta get away before I snap. You know what I mean?
Right.
Absolutely.
Because I'm like, you know, they going back and forth with these officers trying to work stuff out over the last year or so, but they're not budging. So I was like, okay, you guys aren't budging. I'm not budging either.
Right.
But they didn't think, to be honest, they didn't think they would be indicted because they felt like,
Right.
oh, this new DA accepted money from the police union. But she always stated, I'm going to do what's morally and ethically correct.
That
she
part.
She told us families, I'm gonna do the, I'm gonna review the cases. I'm gonna determine if there's enough evidence to get a conviction. If there is, that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna aim for a conviction. So I was grateful that she had courage to move forward, and bring these officers. And the jury was, I think it was about 20 jurors, but they was from all walks of life. And it's like you can't turn you can't turn a blind eye to the facts and the evidence, because I don't know if you guys are aware, but on the civil side of this case, October 2020, the civil judge Timothy Back, ruled in favor of the officers. After all this evidence presented.
Yeah. Go ahead and tell everybody, because we had a brief conversation, me, you, and TR, about the arrogance of the officers.
Oh, basically,
And look.
I'm just gonna keep that. I don't really supposed to discuss that part.
Okay, all right.
Between us.
Right.
But they always, from day one, they just thought, that they weren't gonna see a day in court. They felt like,
Untouchable.
oh, we're innocent. We didn't do nothing wrong. But I'm like, you all did do something wrong. You all used excessive force against a mental person. You all didn't have no search warrant, that's why when they say the burglary, that's where the burglary came into place at. That's why they charged them with burglary, because they did not have a search warrant to enter. They did not have permission to enter that residence.
Okay.
So I just feel like they're on a hunt, for our brown and black men, and it's happening every day.
Everywhere.
A brown and black person is killed by police every single day in the United States of America. Who wants to live here in the United States of America? I don't anymore. I don't even want to be. I hate to say it. I don't even want to be a U.S. citizen. I was like, I better just go somewhere else and probably become a citizen somewhere else, because who wants to be something? It's like I got to worry about my other son now. I got to worry about my nephews. I got to worry about my grandson. I got to worry about my nieces too, because they killing black women too as well. So
Black people,
why I got
people of
to
color.
worry about them too as well over here in the United States of America?
Yeah, that's why I thought it was important to try to figure out, like, where's your emotional state, because we go through all of these emotions when we're traumatized. There's, denial, there's anger, and there's, bargaining, and then there's the depression, and then we finally get to some acceptance. But even when we get to the acceptance piece, it is just us adapting to what no longer, to our new circumstances. So that's why I think it's, so important for Yale's listeners to understand, even though she has this daily battle of trying to figure all things out pertaining to this case, as a woman, as a mother, as just a human being of having this traumatic experience and knowing this happened to your child, I struggle on the daily with my emotions here and there, because that affects me. That was my child. I gave birth to. So it's very imperative because I'm sure there's another mother that's out there that may not have your experience, but have lost their son to any type of gun violence, that needs to hear from you and about the emotional upset that you have.
Right, Mark, what you got, brother?
So I'm curious as to, okay, so you said those two, but 3 and 1 is deceased. What about the remaining officers that were on that task force? Are they under scrutiny as well? Are they due to receive any charges in following along with these unlawful orders? Are they also regarded as a part of that case? Have they been brought up on charges, or are they doing them in pieces? Do you know anything about that?
I don't really know anything about it. Their main goal or task, that was to get the shooters.
Okay.
So that's who they have right now.
Okay.
3 shooters are the 2 that's left, basically.
Right.
But
Right.
the rest of them, I have asked, like, because a lot of my family military, so we were like,
Yeah.
Okay.
and everybody else, where's the other people? Because they were involved, they were on the scene that day. No one intercepted, is that the word where they
Interceded. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, to stop what was going on. Because even if you watch the video and you look at the reaction of some of the officers, they kind of turned around like what's going on? Like, why are y'all still shooting? Like, what's going on?
Right.
What's going on? What's really going on?
See.
So,
Right.
We were like, who gave that order that day? Who was in charge? You know
Right.
what I'm saying? We want everybody that was in charge, that was out there that day, that was involved. But their main thing was getting the 3 shooters. But like I
Right.
said, the one who shot my son the most, he's deceased. So,
Wow.
yeah.
Wow.
But I still went after him too, because he still have living relatives. What I
Right.
mean? A wife and a father. So I still went after his,
For restitution.
Yes.
Yes.
I went after that. I told my attorney, like, let's make sure we have everyone accounted for. Just because
Right.
he's deceased does not make him
Exonerated. It doesn't.
Exonerated. That's the
Right.
word.
And talking about what you said, you coming from a military background as well. Me and Markel, we're veterans of the military.
Absolutely.
We discussed this earlier with Miami about how we are definitely taught rules of engagement.
Absolutely.
And that's something that we need to discuss moving forward. We appreciate the fact that you have a platform of this moving forward to talk about what happened with your son. Now we need to talk about training, because we always hear people say, well, training, they need training. Well, what do they need training on? How do we need training? Do they already have training? Because if they do, and I know they do, that shows that you're not really wanting to follow the rules
Correct.
of engagement. So now we're really talking about, who are you?
Correct.
Who are you in this task force?
Yeah.
So Mark, you wanted to follow up with something, bro?
Just basically that's one of the things I wanted to know is about one, what about the rest of the officers? Because like you stated, again, we have military backgrounds, and there are rules of engagement, and we're talking wartime situations.
Yes.
With combatants.
Yeah.
Meaning they have weapons.
Even being shot at.
Even being
Even
shot
being
at.
shot
There are
at
still
may
rules of
require us to
engagement.
not even react or
Correct.
retreat or call for backup to handle things actually without violence.
Correct.
So when us as veterans, as soldiers of war, see, wait, you were scared of this young man. We are tired of the narrative. I fear for my life,
Oh my
or
God.
whatever it may be. We're not riding with that anymore. In 2022, moving beyond, we're going to hold everybody accountable for what you do know and what you don't know, and how you're being trained moving forward.
Absolutely.
Mark, you had some paperwork on some of the officers and some of the other things that they had on them.
Yeah, one of the things that I discovered in researching this is that one of the officers that were involved in that task force, around the day, let's see here, it was the National Day of Outrage. This happened in October of 2019, and these were this was in protest to other deaths that had happened to our black men and women in the streets that were killed by police. There was a march that was organized by the Black Panther Party, and one of those officers actually tased 2 students from the Atlanta University Center. Now the thing about it is, one of the things that really, if you don't mind my saying, completely pissed me off. One thing, I'm an AU Center person. I went to Clark Atlanta myself, okay?
Oh, okay.
And I was there Listen, I was there the day the Rodney King verdict came out. I can go into stories about being tear gas and the police action and definitely their use of excessive force on college age students who had no weapons. However, what I wanted to draw attention to was the fact that one of those officers that was involved, Willie Sauls.
She got him.
She got him.
We're going to talk about Willie.
Willie.
Yeah, we got to talk about Willie T. Sauls, who was involved in the case of the 2 college students.
That is correct.
Yeah, and I don't know if you're about to tell his history. Are you about to tell something?
Yeah, I was about to tell that he's been involved in excessive violence incidents throughout his tenure in the Atlanta Police Department. So, but the thing about it that pissed me off was that, you know, in defense, hit the people that defended him in this instance stated that, oh, these are 2 different situations, but you have a pattern of this. Yeah. So what I'm trying to understand is when they sent this, they got this task force together, did you purposefully put these violent offenders, because that's what I'm going to call them? And now, again, the people that know me know I have family that are also have been involved in law enforcement for a number of years. I'm from Chicago, okay? So we'll just leave it at that. So what I need to know is how can they separate this and say, oh, his violence, his propensity for violence in these incidents have nothing to do with what happened in this case.
Right.
I'm so confused about that.
Because what they do is when they want to convict us, they definitely show a pattern of our history.
They absolutely show a pattern.
Validate this reason to say, well, this is why we did what we did with him because of. Go ahead, ma'am.
Yeah, he was the one who actually handcuffed Jamarion and rubbed him down the fire's hand. And also, he was the one that was yelling the whole time in the video. Put the gun down, son. Put the gun down. Put the gun down. But he admitted in civil court and recently that he never saw my son and he never saw a gun.
Never saw a gun.
The false statements, all of that stuff come in.
Okay.
So basically, you know how when police, how to say it, when they want the people on the outside to think this is what's actually happening on the inside, all of that was just like made up. So like
it was a sham.
Yeah, it's like and so with my I knew it was a false narrative when I initially first heard the story. It didn't sound right. And when you go in and read the statements that they actually wrote on August 6th, when you read it, it sounds like 4th and 5th graders wrote the, how to say it, like they wrote the story out. It sounds so, but I don't know you have to describe it. It don't even sound real. It sounds like what is it, but it's not real.
Fabricated.
Fabricated. Or is it fiction or whatever?
It's fiction.
Yeah, it sounds so bizarre, like, you know, because they in their original statement they say we shot him, you know, I think 10, 20 times. He got behind the wall. Then he came back out again. We shot him some more. He stepped behind the wall again. Then he came out again. You know what I mean? They said he did that 3 times. Like, my son was only 5'7", you know, 175 pounds or less. So how he doing all of this when he was shot in all his major organs?
Which is one of the.
So did they come to apprehend him, or did they come to kill him?
They came to kill him. That's a murder.
They went to kill him because you know how, you know, because they feel like, oh, you pointed the gun, or you possibly the one pointing the gun at police officer. We got to teach you a lesson, boy. So when they went there, they meant to kill him and not bring him out alive. But they didn't know he had a mama that was gonna fight back.
Absolutely.
Okay. Okay. Now we here.
I knew I was gonna have to be able to prove what happened because I was like, y'all not smart. Follow what I'm saying? So I knew I was gonna have to be able to tell the story of what happened to my son. Follow what I'm saying? I knew I was gonna have to have my version and they were gonna tell me their version. But once the investigator went in and he got that video, he said it's like my son's voice came on to him. He said once he got the video, because at first he said when he entered the apartment, it was like, you know, you see the bullets going up the wall. They went to the 20s, they went to the 30s. So he just counting all these bullet holes up the wall. But he said he couldn't make out what happened because it was just so, you know, it was just so much. But he said, but once he saw the video being investigated, he said it's like my son's voice came on to him. He said my son said, walk up the stairs. This is where I died. Cut this carpet out. And when he cut that carpet out, There
Go
goes
ahead.
the bullet that went perpendicular into the floor. He said he just followed the bullets in his head.
Come on, Spirit.
Did they ever explain about the rebreathing mask? Because that's so you would use that in the case that you were trying to resuscitate someone. Am I right?
Right.
Did they ever explain how that? I mean,
Yeah, well, I don't know why would they put a breathing mask on a deceased corpse? Why would you handcuff a deceased corpse?
You know,
so that shows that they're not smart and that they're not bright.
I have seen cases with other, everything's on social media where the person, I saw a video where a girl was fighting back and she spat at them. So they really put this breathing mask over her. And the excuse was, well, they might have this or they might have that. Today they would use, well, she might have COVID, They would use some kind of BS reason. So I have seen instances in that where they make the excuse of, this is why we put the breathing mask over the person, because they were spitting at us, they were bleeding, and we didn't want to have this transferred to us. A BS reason in my mindset, but they'll put it in law to make it as such, right? Mm-hmm. So we got them with some charges. Where are we at with it now, ma'am? Moving forward, I know you have a organization and some things like that you've created. I want to talk about a way to find peace. We know we're looking for justice. We definitely know what we are all looking for Jamarion. But moving past that, what is Monteria Robinson doing?
Well, what I've been working on, actually, as I stated earlier, I had the murals put up.
Yes.
There was a mural that was recently put up too in Salt Lake City, Utah.
Oh, wow.
Nice.
Well, yeah, he puts up a lot of the major cases too of the murals. So I have been kind of working with a lot of mural artists to kind of get murals put up in a lot of different states. But also, too, last year I started, the Jamarion Robinson Foundation, and we're still new. We're still working on things, but it's a nonprofit organization, of course, based here in Atlanta, Georgia. And our goals are to assist families whose loved ones suffer with a mental illness by, providing them with referral resources such as counseling, financial assistance, housing, so on and so forth. So I am in need of counselors still. Along with my organization. So that's like one of the main things that I focus on. That's what I'm working on right now to help, to give me, a sense of peace, and keeping his name alive, and I always say that, I am the voice for Jamarion Robinson.
Yes.
And, and nothing's gonna, how to say it, silence me.
Right. Well, that's great. I know you can only find so much peace in this moment, but just for you to find something to move forward and use this as a platform, as another goal to help, you never know who you're going to help following behind you.
Correct.
That's the way we could take this out, because this obviously won't stop tomorrow. It's not going to stop once we do get justice for Jamarion. And that's the hashtag, people. If you got any questions, also the call line is open, 678-813-1113. If you want to have a brief conversation with Miss Robinson or Miss Miami Knight before we get out of here. I don't want to hold her up all day, and I know Miss Miami has a trip that she got to take down to Pensacola. But we do appreciate everybody for tuning in and chiming in and basically showing support. Mark, what you got? You got something, man?
Hey, man, all I can say is that I think this has been, thank you so much again, Ms. Robinson, for coming on to the Mail Review today and talking about this very difficult situation. One thing I do want to say is definitely using it as a catalyst to move forward to try to bring about change. That is amazing, and we will definitely be in support of you. We'll definitely go ahead, and we look forward to participating.
Everything.
Absolutely.
Oh, we here.
We're here for
Oh,
you.
she got family right now.
Yeah, absolutely. You got family here.
Because the goal is, TR, after we got off the phone, me and TR got off the phone, we said, well, brother, we got to bring her into the studio. And I know COVID is a part of the reasons why we aren't here. We're going to get past that too.
Yep.
You know, but whenever you need somewhere to talk and give us updates, let us know. Just tell us what you got going on step by step. We're going to be there. I know because you had a conversation about some people that you expected to support you and that had a nice platform to be able to help push the narrative out on your side, and they kind of disappear. We won't talk about them. All we could do is say who we are over here. You have Miss Miami Night with Grief Talk. She definitely, I'm trying to build a community here. That's what we're trying to do. I love the fact that I got two women on here, and y'all have because I told my cousin, y'all have a mutual understanding that me and Markel really can't talk about. Correct. Yeah, we can only be here as a support system, but I like what my cousin did earlier, and she know what I'm talking about.
Yes. Oh. Well, thank you. No, look, grief is so exhausting. The process is, and the fight that, God gives us the opportunity and the ability to go inward to find ourselves to be able to do this. This is no stance that this is easy work. I'm sure she spent plenty of sleepless nights and continue going to have, continuously having that. But what I offer to my clients and to my listening audience is a place to have a safe space to just, like we did that exercise, to breathe, to be able to come back to yourself, to be able to just focus inwardly on this extraneous, just the process of the trauma. The trauma is so overwhelming. Look, I have to be honest, I had never heard the story. So it's so great that that you have this platform to share this story. But when I heard it, it took the life out of me. Just to have that experience as a mother. But for me, hearing the story for the first time, it took the life out of me. I felt this aura and this energy on me of the heaviness. So I can only imagine what you have experienced as a mother. But I am so grateful that you are his continued voice and that you are letting more people know in states nationally about his life and who he is, who he still is as your loved one. Thank you.
Okay.
And I would like to give people some action items, because people are always like, what can I do? What can I do? What can I do? Well, first I'm going to start with call Judge Timothy Batten's office.
Yeah.
Okay.
404-215-1420. And tell him to do the right thing and move forward with Jamarion Robinson's case and hold these rogue officers accountable. Again, that's Judge Timothy Batten. His phone number is 404-215-1420. And also, too, there's a flyer that you all have been sharing, this flyer.
Yes, we have.
Find that on my IG page or on your, upload that flyer to all your social media outlets. I dropped it. Upload this flyer to all your social media outlets.
Right.
Tell 10 people about the story of Jamarion Robinson. And again, my IG is JusticeforJamarion. If you want to, my donation link is on the IG page. But also, if you go to JusticeforJamarion.org, that's a website that tells you everything about Jamarion. You can see the murals. There's photos.
Yes.
Spelled wrong. JusticeforJamarion. You're missing the A.
Look here. Look. Yeah.
Yeah. So
here we is. She was on it. Look here, man.
You gonna spell that name?
Look. Put some respect on my son's name.
That name. That's right. You better believe it.
Oops. I fixed that real fast.
I will let you guys know. It should be soon. I'm thinking that we should be hearing something back soon as to when they're going to trial, because it's been, I think, a little over. They say typically after the indictment around 70 days or so. So it should start to resurface. All my stuff started to happen when Ahmaud Arbery stuff was going on too as well. So all the cases are kind of like right behind one another.
Right.
So,
Okay.
So I should be hearing something hopefully in the next week or two.
Right.
Right, because I don't know if you all are aware, but the officers did move their cases over to federal court.
They did get it moved.
Yeah.
They should that. Oh wait.
ahead.
They did that in the jurisdiction within the city though. So for them to move it over to federal, that's to try to give them a little leeway as far as how, man, that's some.
But what if they're convicted? What if they're convicted in federal court? Wouldn't that make their
convictions
federal charges?
Yeah, federal charges.
It'll be federal charges. Yeah.
Wouldn't it give them maybe more time if they're found guilty as opposed to state court?
That is the hope. That is the hope. I think they should be charged, both of them. That's my opinion. I'm not a legal person, but I think they should be charged in both.
And it's something we could look into just to have more knowledge of it.
Even with the most recent case, remember they got charged in state, and then they bounded over federal for
Ahmaud Arbery.
Yep.
Yes.
Ahmaud Arbery. Yep. Then they bounded over for civil rights issue.
Yes.
That's definitely the case.
Okay, so hopefully they can increase and add some charges onto this and move from there. The GoFundMe, ma'am.
GoFundMe is GoFundMe.com/JusticeforJamarion. Again, please donate. That's how I kind of stay out here. That's how I stay afloat. If you look at my GoFundMe, I think I've only raised about $60,000 over the last 5 years. So and I was like, and I think that's because my case wasn't national news. Typically, when your case made national news, boom, you get. But it's been slow, and so I kind of depend on that to keep me afloat because that's how I stay out here, keeping my son's name alive.
Well, definitely you have a platform over here that we can assist in any way possible to help bring more awareness. We aren't the biggest platform, but I know we are over 1 million views.
Yes, we are.
Shout out RTV, shout out Yale Radiocast. So we are a growing platform to help in some form or facet and a continuous push. All you got to do is just let us know what you got. Give us an article, give us a link. We're sharing it. This will be featured on the website of Yale Radiocast. Of course, the video footage will always be put out by us. Once again, if we could even come out there on these court dates, if you need a support system, we're going to be there. I said earlier on my live, like, we need to stop talking about what we need to do as a community and actually start doing the actual footwork. And that actually starts with not just me or Markel or Miami. It starts with us, but maybe something happens where I can't be there, but the next person who is with me next to me can. Maybe if I can't say this or talk about this, maybe Miami can. Maybe the next person that's next to her can. We got to actually put in the work with the people around us and surround each other with people who are willing. My mindset has always been congregate with like-minded people. We're going to actually get some people who I wouldn't say don't care, but they're dealing with their own things. And I would never deny that, but the fact is strength in numbers, and we got to find those numbers. So, but once again, I do want to say thank you. I truly appreciate it.
Oh, you're welcome anytime. And like I said, I'll keep you guys up to date.
Please do.
Yeah, what's next is, we should be moving forward to a trial,
Yes.
And so, it's time that they hold these officers accountable.
Mm-hmm. And I think that the way that happens is the more attention that's on a case.
Right.
That's just when they start to actually move a little bit, because they, as of late, don't want the repercussions.
Right.
The repercussions of they don't want us get be at work moving some furniture.
Right. They don't want the smoke.
Hey, look. hey, you already know when you it's quiet at work when some stuff go down. Like, we don't want to make Dylan mad today.
Boy,
they wait and they check the temperature because they saw what happened.
Yes.
They see those protests. I remember the protests going down and going to work the next day. Let's see how he acts when he walks in today.
Correct.
So the more attention, the more
action.
Mm-hmm. So Markel, you want to give someone last words? Actually, hold up, cuz Miami. Tell them about Grief Talk and how to actually check you out and reach you, ma'am.
Sure. I do want to say this first. Let's please pay attention to the permit-free gun carry legislation that Governor Kemp is backing. So make sure, because this police-involved shooting is a part of several parts of gun violence in our community and nationally. So please make sure that we're paying attention to the permit-free gun carry legislation. You can find me at Miami Night with the K, that's MK, MiamiNightLLC.com. I am also on YouTube as It's the Miami Night Show, Brief Talk. And on my podcast, I vocally assist others to give them resources with my featured guests and also give them the ability to go and showcase what they're doing in our community and also share their story. That's a big part about grief, is being able to give yourself the opportunity to share your experience and your loss. But you can find me at anything Miami Night LLC, whether that is Instagram, on Facebook, Miami Night LLC as well. So just contact me, and I'll do a lot of grief work, and also I work a lot with my ancestors. So looking forward to hearing from you.
Yes. Thank you, cuz. Once again, I love you, miss you. I appreciate you and what you are doing as well. See, this is the thing that is truly needed right here. We get on these platforms and we talk, but often there is no resolution.
Correct.
There is no way of how you handle it, how you deal with it. We talk about whatever our topics are, and at the end of the show, we say, well, how do we fix this?
Right.
Yeah.
Where are we going from here?
Correct.
What are we doing with this? We ain't say, oh, I'm mad at President, your guy. I'm mad at this person. And we let that be it. Let's not let that be it.
Yeah.
No,
So
I'm going forever slug mode. That's my baby.
Okay,
Slug
talk about
mode.
slug
I'm
mode.
always
Okay.
slug mode. I'm always slug mode for my son, for Tyke.
Exactly.
Tyke was an underground artist, and he loved music. And we're actually on our way to Florida to continue our mission to do complete a documentary for Tyke. Because just like Miss Robinson, I'm not going to stop sharing his story and who he was and who he is to us. So it's going slug mode. It's me all day. So when y'all see slug mode, y'all see me.
All right, we're gonna hashtag that too. We're gonna hashtag family. And Markel, you want to finish it off, brother? Because I got to make sure I'm typing everything right.
Hey.
So Monteria won't be, she ain't gonna be
So you don't
snapping
get
on
beat
me.
up, right? I know
Not
that's
no
right.
more today.
Hey,
Hey, it was only like 1 second too. Oh, and you spelled that wrong. Get that right. Get that. Hey, boy.
No problem, man. All I can say is definitely I appreciate everybody for tuning in, definitely for joining us here at the Mail Review. You can follow us on all streaming platforms. Everything.
Okay, so because this is where Markel forgets everything.
I forget everything. Yeah.
YaleRadiocast.com. You can follow us on Instagram at the Yale Brand. You can follow me on Instagram at the Dialing Yale. You can follow us up on Twitter at the Yale Brand or Yale Radiocast. You can follow us up on Twitch at Yale Radiocast, Facebook Yale Radiocast. Everything Yale Radiocast. Don't forget RTV on Vimeo. You download the Vimeo. You can catch RTV on Roku and Fire Stick as well. We are streaming on over 25 platforms between iHeart, Pandora. The only thing that we ain't on is Spotify, but I'm trying to have a conversation with them. So yeah. So
need to break us out.
So the word will be out, ma'am, Miss Monteria Robinson. Once again, we are here. We gonna talk about Jamarion.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
And
We're going to talk about
We're going to keep our audience up to date on this case and making sure we try to see this through to its end, whatever that may be.
Okay, so bring us on out, Mark.
Hey, thanks again for tuning in with us here on the Mail Review.
We love you too,
Thank you,
ma'am.
Monteria. Thank you very much. Thank you, Miami Night. Thank you for all who tuned in for the Mail Review on this special Saturday. Thanks for showing up with us, and always the motto.
You already know what it is. Get the business.
Get the business. We the gold standard, baby.
Yale Radio Cast.